Welcome to this episode. This has ended up another long one because this is in effect 2 rides in one video. Now I promised to not make a habit of this as I really never planned for the videos to be this long, and it's just kind of circumstance really that's dictated that I've ended up with 2 longer ones, 2 in a row. So I had thought about doing a part 1 and a part 2 for this video, as that would have got me back on track for the kind of 15-minute target, but I'm interested in hearing some feedback from you on that. Does the length of time make any difference to you? Is 15 minutes as target time about right? What are your thoughts on that? Other than that specifically, I'm also looking for any sort of general feedback. Would you like more shots of the countryside, for example? Do I talk too much? Are you interested in gear or maybe my approach to attempting different distances? Basically, is there anything I'm not covering right now that you would like to see? All feedback is welcome because although I submit these entries because I enjoy making them and I enjoy sharing stories, I'd like to do it in at least a mildly entertaining way that keeps people watching, and look, ultimately possibly might even inspire somebody to get out there and ride their bike. And I can only really do this by asking for your help in terms of what it is that you might want to see. So please leave a comment with your thoughts, either on the channel or the forum post or Facebook or Twitter, wherever it is you happen to end up coming across these videos. On day 1, the route leaves Birmingham via Solihull, passing through Nuneaton and Hinckley before a brief spell on the Sustrans Route 50 before joining Route 6 into Market Harbour, leaving Market Harbour on Route 64, then joining the National Byway. This links to Route 53 through Yaxley and onto Route 63 into March to finish. On day 2, leaving March, retracing Route 63, but staying on the route this time to pass through Peterborough and on through Stamford, looping round to Rutland Water via the Waterside Cafe on the Rutland Water cycle path, then briefly back onto Route 63 before it becomes Route 64, once again joining Route 63, then Route 6, onto the same stretch of National Byway as the previous day, passing El Shilton, through Nuneaton and once more back to South Birmingham. Good morning, Randonneurs. Something a little bit different for me today. I'm doing my first DIY Audax. I've had the idea to do this route kind of from summer. Unfortunately, my grandmother's had quite a bit of ill health this year, and whilst I've been driving quite a lot to see her, I had the idea about riding to go see her. So typically I've had this idea in the summer when the weather was good, and now it's November, and well, I guess this was the first chance I sort of had, the first opportunity presented itself. Ended up with a couple of days off work this week, so I thought I'd do it. Actually, the weather is nowhere near as bad as I was expecting, and I was expecting horrendous rain this morning, but it's actually been pretty reasonable. It's grey, it's misty, it's kind of drizzling rain that's just stopped for now. In comparison to what I was expecting, well, this is pretty good. So the plan for the next couple of days is to do 2 back-to-back 200s. So I'm going to be doing Birmingham to March in Cambridgeshire, 205k, that part of the route. Go see my nan, stay with her overnight, and then ride march back to Birmingham tomorrow. For those of you who have watched the whole series so far, you would have probably noticed that I haven't really said much about the new bike. Well, that's because I hadn't really ridden it a huge amount, but today is the first ride I'm doing of any real consequence in terms of distance. It's feeling good so far. I did 55k last weekend just to sort of like have a go at the setup and things, and yeah, I was kind of 95% there. I'm still not convinced exactly about the front end setup. I've got a riser stem on there now, this Zip 20-degree riser. Yeah, like I say, I'm 50-50 on that at the moment. It might just be that I've got 30mm spacers, so it might just be that I need to drop some of those. But yeah, maybe that would do it. In terms of other gear, I need to say a huge thank you to Use Exposure for repairing my Revo in an extremely short turnaround, so that's really good. Thank you for that, guys. The other thing is riding with a new dynamo front wheel on this bike. This is now my third dynamo front wheel. I've got a 15mm quick release and now 12mm. I had that wheel built by Birmingham Bike Foundry, and again, amazing turnaround. I literally dropped off a rim and hub to them on Thursday evening about 6:30, 11:30 Friday morning. Had the call, the wheel was built. Awesome. Thanks guys, more great service. Always had all my wheels built there when I haven't built them myself, and yeah, they've always done a really good job. The other new thing I'm riding with today is the Pro Viz Switch backpack cover. Now I'm using this as a saddlebag cover. Now I like to look at this as a product because it's reversible. So one side is nice bright high vis, and on the other is the classic reflective thing that Pro Viz are known for in their kind of jackets and gilets and such. It's got two elasticated strips on push studs, so makes it nice and easy to hook it around whatever it is that you're trying to hook it around. Like I say, today it's a saddlebag. I think I'll use this on my commute as well for my backpack. But yeah, that seems to be working out pretty well. It's got a little loop on for a light as well, so yeah, it's all bases covered. Much of this route I decided to do was on Sustrans routes. Now, I'm not a great rider of Sustrans routes in the main, not for any particular reason. It's just that the opportunities haven't really presented themselves. Honestly, the headwinds I've had this morning, you'd think these things would be spinning around way quicker than this. You can see how low the clouds is though. It's brightened up a little bit. That hasn't stopped the showers, but it's certainly brighter than it was earlier. Anyway, I've made pretty good time so far. So yeah, 3-4k now to a pub lunch in Market Harbour. That sounds great, doesn't it?
Can't write any checks anymore. I can write.
Just had a nice little break in Market Harbour. Had some lunch in the Three Swans, I think it's called. Very nice. Maybe a little too nice. I kind of massively stuck out, you know, stinking of wet dog, which, you know, was kind of funny really. I mean, I took my windproof off and wow, I smelt hilariously bad. Anyway, great food. Pulled pork sandwich with some fries, nice cappuccino to finish. Got about 105k left, maybe a little bit less than that. I've just been riding along thinking a bit about how randonneuring has changed me as a rider. Like, in short, I think I've just kind of chilled out a lot, you know. I think from rolling into the town to rolling out again was something like an hour and a quarter, hour and a half. The me of 3 or 4 years ago would be horrified by that. But the me now just fancies a nice break, spot a lunch, coffee, get on with the ride. Look at that. Blue sky. So I'm suspicious this is a little bit deep. It's kind of got that look to it, right? Yeah, not so bad. Starting to get dark now. Sun's kind of set in earnest. Starting to get a little bit chilly. I think this is mostly because of the layers underneath my coat being a bit damp. I think we've got about 40k left. So hopefully next time I see you I'll be in March. Catch you then. This is the Sustrans route 33, maybe. Oh, in fairness, I didn't need this right now. But hey, it is what it is, right? So I just got to get on with it. Really can't be that long. Jesus, that train scared the crap out of me as well. So I'm just rolling into March now. It's about 1 or 2k left to the River Nene Bridge, which is where this route kind of officially ends. I have to say I'm glad to be at the end of this one. It does feel like the last 40k has really dragged. Pretty much there now. I'll probably get a cup of tea down me, reflect a little on it with a less tired head maybe, and yeah, see how I feel about it then. Right, I'll catch you later. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep this round up of the day as short and sweet as possible. Felt like a kind of tough ride today. Not really sure exactly what it was that made it so difficult. I mean, the route itself was reasonably flat. I mean, I think it ended up being about 1700 meters. Generally, the route was okay for the first 100k. I mean, that flew by. The next 50k after that, my legs weren't great. Maybe it was kind of 30k within that 50. The last 50k, legs felt fine again after that. Kind of had a second wind, I suppose, in that instance. Head felt really tired for that last 50k though, which is unusual for me. Chose some terrible roads for some of this. Wow, some of those A roads around like south of Peterborough, around is it Whittlesea? Is that right? Super busy. There were some bad choices. Nice to go and visit my nan. It's kind of it's tricky to go see her because she's still so like sprightly of personality and mind, whilst not of foot, shall we say. You know, it's quite hard to reconcile sometimes how bright she can be and how quick she still is, really, like whilst her body is giving up on her. So that can be quite hard sometimes, but you know, I think the only thing that I've got to give her at this point, the only thing of any value, is giving her my time. So, you know, it's still really good to go see her. I know she enjoys it. I enjoy it overall. Anyway, tomorrow's another day. So I should get a good night's sleep in tonight. And yeah, gonna ride back tomorrow. Night.
Slight change of plan this morning. I had planned to get off nice and early and get a good start on the day, but I decided to go back and have breakfast with my nan, so that was really nice. Big fry up, and yeah, really nice to see her again this morning. She was telling me lots of stories while I was eating, which was yeah, nice to sit with her for a bit longer. So this sort of changed up my itinerary a little bit, I think, for today. I was originally planning to stop in Peterborough and have breakfast, but yeah, I really don't need to do that now. So I think I'm going to stop at around about the 75k mark, probably the Waterside Cafe, Rutland Water, and get some lunch, and then maybe take another stop at around 140, 150k, I think maybe at Earl Shilton, maybe slightly earlier, see how that goes. Nice to start a ride with no waterproof on, feels like a while since that's happened. It's a touch colder today than it was yesterday morning. I do have a prospect of a reasonable headwind for the next, well, probably up to Rutland Water, 70k or so. So this was the level crossing that I had a small incident at last night. My own fault entirely. See what I mean? Even just walking across it. Wow. I guess that makes my incident last night even more lucky that I didn't actually come across her. But yeah, it was pretty close. Well, that no rain was short-lived. DL is horizontal. Back on this Route 63, Sustrans Route 63. They're probably my tracks from last night. So this was the section I was cursing Sustrans for last night. I mean, it's not that I'm averse to a bit of rough stuff at all. I mean, on my mountain bike, really, it's just on 28mm tyres at 80 psi in the dark when you're not expecting it. After you've done, I don't know, 180, 190k. Yeah, I just wasn't really in the mood for it at that point. It's been a tough going this first 20k. I mean, I've been going an hour and a quarter and I've done 20k. Headwind's been pretty strong. I mean, not totally soul destroying, but challenging enough. Something tells me I took a wrong turn here. Turns out that wasn't a wrong turn at all. That was actually where I should have been going, but it was just totally flooded. Alright, so I'm 70k in. riding along the dam at Randonneur. It's one of the largest, I think, man-made sort of reservoirs, lakes in Europe, filled by the River Nene. That's where this ride started today. So I managed to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm up to 18.7k, and that was with a quick stop in Stamford, was it? To pick up a few nibbles and check what time the cafe I'm aiming for was closing. A few more k now to that cafe. God, it's really well, rain's coming down now pretty badly. Although I am kind of running behind, just thought I'd take a moment to come and have a look at this church, is it, here? What a crazy place for the church. I guess maybe the church was here before the lake was, right? I don't know. There's kind of a beautiful melancholy to this location today. Made it to the cafe on the waterfront, Randonneur. It's taken me about 4 hours to do 75k, which is kind of slow. I think maybe after here, if I can knock out another 75k before I have another break, that'll get me to 150. I mean, I'm probably about 20k to 25k behind where I was yesterday. I think as long as I don't hang around too long here or any other break I have, maybe if I make those petrol station breaks, then, you know, I'll want to get on as quick as possible at that stage, and I won't be tempted to hang around too long. Alright, that's the 100k point. The rain has been horrendous. 5 hours 47, which is not a great time, but ultimately within Randonneur pace, which I guess is all that really matters. I mean, even if it takes me 7 hours to do the next 100k, that'll still be okay. Anyway, next sort of checkpoint, I suppose, in my head is 150k. I guess I'll see you then. So in fairness, I've probably gone past about 5 or 6 road ahead closed signs. But this one's pretty genuine. There's like a deep ford up there that looks proper deep. So I'm gonna have to reroute. There's not much option here really. I'm back en route now after avoiding that deep ford. 152k done. On a cycle path on the side of an A road now, which is actually really cool because you don't have to deal with the crap of an A road, right? But it's the path of least resistance. So I'm zipping along here, loving it. That's done, and done. Means 35 kilometres left to go. quite pleased to be reading that. I'm going to conservatively say that's maybe 2 hours now. On top of that, my left knee is somewhat painful as well. So yeah, I think about 2 hours to go. So I'm into the wine gums. Man, they taste so good right now. So glad I saved those for this stretch. Pretty much just emptied the bag into my pocket. It's kind of good that way. Potluck, what flavours you get. It's like a tropical mix. So I'm into Solihull now. That means there's like 10k left to go. Oh man, I'm looking forward to getting home. I guess this is it. I'm going to say goodbye from the road now, and I think the next time I see you, I'll be at Casa della Rive.
It'd been quite a long time since I'd done consecutive big days on the bike, and although going into it I was fairly confident that I kind of had it in me to do it, I was actually quite surprised in terms of how well my legs handled it in the end. In fact, I'd even go as far to say that maybe even day two my legs actually felt better than on day one. This was a extremely rewarding trip for me in a personal sense. As I said, out on the road, I was aiming to do this all summer and never really got round to it. So I'm really glad now that I'm able to kind of say to myself that I've done it, and that I didn't leave it too late to do it. Whilst I certainly could have just jumped in the car and driven to see me nan, I thought, you know, why not jump on the bike and have an adventure getting there, seeing places you never see while you're in the car, enjoying it in a way that you can never enjoy the journey when you're doing 70 miles an hour on a motorway. Day one was 206 kilometers with 1700 meters of climbing, and generally speaking, although the weather wasn't great, it was fine. Most of the route was good. I enjoyed it. There was the odd place like Nuneaton where I shouldn't really have gone through the town centre, and some of those A roads around the south of Peterborough, which were pretty bad riding. I think a lot of that was probably just the time of day that I was there. And apart from that kind of random bit of off-road that sort of caught me off guard late on in the evening, yeah, the route was pretty good. Day two was 207 kilometers with 1300 meters of climbing, and surprisingly only actually took me an extra 5 minutes than day one. So day one, by the way, had been 10 hours 43, and day two was 10 hours 47. I think given the weather, the fact that I only diverted twice to avoid flooding was probably actually quite surprising in and of itself. I think in some respects I could actually say I was probably quite lucky in that regard. The rain was nothing short of biblical. I have quite simply never endured that kind of weather for that length of time before. I actually ended up doing around about 125k in pretty much constant rain and in a single pull, because I just didn't want to stop, because I just knew I would get cold, and the only way I could really, you know, guarantee myself staying warm was to just keep going. So yeah, that probably helped in the end of getting me home within a reasonable amount of time, and catching up quite a lot of that time that I lost at the start in the headwinds. So for me, I think that this trip really encapsulated the spirit of the Randonneur. For me personally, a randonnée should be about going somewhere. It shouldn't just be about the journey. I mean, again, for me, that's quite a bit what I see control points as. it's not just a long ride, but it's a long ride to go somewhere and maybe visit somewhere that you've not been before. And as this trip had an extremely clear and definite destination for me, and a very personal one at that, I kind of see this trip as being really worthwhile. So actually I think in the future I might really look into doing some more DIYs of this nature.